And Ambroise Labor was he was one of the first people to talk about rapport, and John was talking about rapport, how important it is. Do you know what rapport is? Anybody?
No.
Definition of rapport?
No.
Yeah, how people feel about you. They have a good rapport with someone. Like a good
connection?
Yeah, connection, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's meeting of the minds on the emotional level. So you can have rapport with your clients. It's also very important. And how do you build rapport? John is going to teach you. You really establish connection, human connection. You understand them, a lot of empathy, a lot of sympathy, and there's still a lot of NLP techniques that can help you establish rapport. So rapport is one of the important ingredients in successful hypnotherapy session. Then finally we have international congresses, we have medical associations talking about hypnosis, and Charcot, Bernheim, and Sigmund Freud, they were the first international congress for the experimental and therapeutic hypnotism held in Paris. And that was in 1889, 19th century. Then British Medical Association, a few years later, unanimously endorsed the therapeutic use of hypnosis, and it rejected the theory of mesmerism, the animal magnetism. Then later on we have Émile Coué, who was a French pharmacist, and he was also a psychologist. He came up with ideas of suggestion. Again, we all know that suggestion is very important in hypnosis, one of the key elements, one of the ingredients. He came up with 3 rules. The law of concentrated attention. Whenever attention is concentrated on the idea over and over again, it spontaneously tends to realize itself. Simply, whatever you give your attention to, you give power. If you focus on being sad and depressed, nobody likes me, I'm a bad student, you give your attention and you realize it. When you focus your attention, your thoughts on something positive, going against those negative thoughts, they tend to realize themselves. Then he also came up with the law of reversed effect. The harder one tries to do something, the less chance one has of success. And this is a technique that's used a lot in hypnosis, especially in a lot of techniques. As John was showing to you earlier, whenever you ask your client, try hard to have your eyes open, try really hard, try hard, and you know that trying is not doing, right? There's a difference between doing and trying. When you try to do something, you try, but it doesn't happen. So you use that little trick. They try hard, they try hard, they try hard. They can't try anymore, they just relax. And so they relax their eyes, and the relaxation takes place throughout their body as you direct it. The law of dominant effect, the strong emotion, suggestion, tends to replace a weaker one, so you give a stronger emotion and suggestion. He actually was very famous for this expression and sort of affirmation. And we all know that we live in this modern time of affirmations, even affirmations to oneself all the time. His affirmation was, day by day, in every way, I get better and better. That's the kind of information anyone can use, and you did get better and better. So he used all those techniques, and he wrote books. He really understood the importance of the subject participation in hypnosis. And he was a forerunner of the modern practitioners who claim there is no such thing as hypnosis, only self-hypnosis. And we talked about it earlier. Hypnotists, the more humble you are, the more you realize and let your clients know that you're just a guide, the more comfortable they feel. Realize that you are a guide, that hypnotist is a guide, and I'm the one, I'm smart, I'm gonna do the work. And this way you build the rapport, still knowing that you're an authority, of course. Sigmund Freud was also interested in hypnosis initially. He was using it in his work, but he wasn't that good in it. He was more of a psychologist. And actually, in reality, Sigmund Freud brought more damage in hypnosis. And he put hypnosis way back in history. His rejection of hypnosis delayed the development of hypnotherapy because he more focused on psychoanalysis. But later on, again, it was revived with Clark Hall book named Hypnosis and Suggestibility in 1930s. So just recently, 70 years ago. During the wars, hypnosis was used a lot also. During the first one, the second, and the Korean War, it was used in healing post-traumatic stress disorder. And also shell shock. As some of you maybe read somewhere that soldiers have shell shock and a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. British Hypnotism Act in Britain in 1952, a Hypnotism Act was instituted to regulate stage hypnotist public entertainments. We have a lot about stage hypnosis right now nowadays in Vegas, and it's a huge entertainment industry. And then American Medical Association in 1958, the American Medical Association approved a report on the medical use of hypnosis. It encouraged research on hypnosis, although pointing out that some aspects of hypnosis are known and still controversial. Then we have American Psychological Association. They endorsed hypnosis finally as a branch of psychology. So you can see the evolution of hypnosis. Finally, it's spreading its ends everywhere possible. In fact, if you really think about marketing, if you think about marketing is again hypnosis. 1,000 years ago, 2,000, 3,000 people didn't know what marketing is, right? What would they market? There were no commercials, there were no TV, no radio. There was no idea of marketing. So marketing is one of those realms, those fields that uses the idea of hypnosis in modern days.
How long ago did the Psychological Association accept hypnosis?
Psychological Association accepted hypnosis. I don't have that information, but I will get it for you.
1959.
1959, thank you.
Typical lawyer.
Thank you very much. And then finally we have a occupation title for hypnotherapist and a directory of occupational titles, and thanks to John Kappas and Gil Boyne, they were hypnotists. And this is what it reads: hypnotherapist in that dictionary. Hypnotherapist induces hypnotic state in the client to increase motivation or alter behavior patterns through hypnosis. Consults with client to determine the nature of a problem. Prepares client to enter hypnotic states by explaining how hypnosis works and what client will experience. Tests subject to determine degrees of physical and emotional suggestibility. Induces hypnotic state in the client using individualized methods and techniques of hypnosis based on interpretation of test results and analysis of client's problem. May train client in self-hypnosis condition. So we went a long way. Milton Erickson was very famous, very popular. Again, as John spoke about him earlier, he came up with Ericksonian hypnosis. He was really incredible. He was stricken by polio when he was 17 years old. He spent a huge part of his life in a wheelchair. He had relearned how people. He actually focused a lot on nonverbal communication of human beings. He observed his sister, his friends, his relatives, how they talked, what they meant when they talked, and he used a lot of tales and metaphors in his work. He was a psychotherapist, and through metaphors, surprise, confusion, and humor, he was really helping people heal. And a lot of his tales are still used in the practice of hypnosis. And do you know what I mean by tales, right? Like he was just talking to you, telling you a story, a fairy tale, and by saying, telling you the story, you'll begin to enter trance, relax, close your eyes, as your eyes blinking and blinking, you're closing, relaxing, and then he would give you suggestions. So it's very simple, positive suggestions, of course. But, all those inductions varied, of course, individually. And Dave Ellman, as you're all going to learn the Dave Ellman induction, which used by most of the therapists nowadays, he was also